Look at my water bottle here, and it's shaking around pretty violently. Ooh, that was a big one. My wife doesn't enjoy riding in a truck that's getting bucked around, so she's appreciated the upgrade in the suspension. We don't want to just go off of feeling, we're gonna go off the data. So we've got an accelerometer, we're gonna place it in the same position. We're gonna use the exact same trailer, the same load on the trailer, same setup, and see what the data tells us. Just my truck with liquid springs versus the factory truck. So this truck is a 2025 F350 single wheel long bed. So this is basically the highest capacity pickup that you can get in a single wheel. On the back, we have 3 springs. In the main pack, we have the 1 big spring on the bottom and an overload spring. But let's see how much this thing squats. So once I loaded the trailer, we've got approximately 3,000 pounds of pin weight, which is well within the maximum payload of this truck. As we drop that trailer down, we got quite a bit of spring travel. So those springs have pushed way up into the wheel wells on the rear. You can notice up on the front, we've actually raised the front end up about 1/2 inch. So a couple things we're gonna have challenging here is, 1, at night, our headlights are gonna be shining up in the air. And then 2, the rear of the truck is just a hair lower. That's gonna change the way the truck steers, the way the truck feels. So if I was setting this up, be hauling this trailer often, I would go in, add at least 1 leaf spring, possibly 2, depending on exactly how much pin weight I'm gonna have on it. And then I'll possibly even a set of airbags, so we can get just a little more ride height out of the rear and get the truck in more of a level position. So the truck is squatted in the rear. Now, we are by no means over the payload. The truck is perfectly capable of hauling this load safely without any issues. What we're trying to achieve here is just take what we get from the factory and then make it perform even better for you at home. And every application is a little bit different, so it's not a one size fits all, but we can go through and tailor these trucks to meet your needs. When you look at the leaf spring pack, it is almost completely flat front to back. Once you do that, you really change the way that that spring recoils. You'll also notice the overload spring has made contact with both the front and rear perch, which is a good thing. That's basically adding some additional strength to that rear leaf spring pack, so it's not going to push it all the way up into the fender. But to achieve the smoothest ride, there's some things we could change. And you can see right now, we don't have a whole lot of cushion left. So cushion is comfort. So we have about 1/2 inch of suspension travel before we hit the bump stop. We get a 1/2 inch of travel over a bump, which when you're hauling a load like this, you need several inches. Once that 1/2 inch is used, you've now hit the bump stop. That bump stop is extremely firm. So it is going to compress. You can compress those at least another inch or 2, but it's at a very, very firm rate. When you hit those bumps and you make contact with that rear bump stop, that's that really hard chatter that you feel in the seat when you're going down the road. If you can give yourself a little bit of space between the bump stop perch and the bottom of that bump stop, I like to see at least 2 to 3 inches in there. It's gonna make that ride with the trailer so much smoother. So we're gonna compare it to my truck. So we'll talk about the specific setup I have on mine. If you wanna get the best setup with the best ride, there is nothing you're gonna do to your truck that's gonna ride better than liquid springs. So there's a couple of reasons why I went with this setup. Prior to this, I had the leaf spring setup. I had 1 extra leaf spring. I had a set of airbags. I had to do some custom fitment on my airbags because a lot of the brands out there, they fail really easy. But this one is set up with liquid springs. So what this does is it removes the leaf springs on the rear, the coil springs on the front, sets it up with a 4-link connection on the rear and a 3-link connection up on the front. And this thing is auto leveling. So as I load the truck, it doesn't matter how much weight I put on it, it will always ride level. So it's adjusting the pressure inside those struts so that you always have the same ride. Whether I'm running completely empty or I'm loaded to the max, the truck will always ride and handle the same. Basically, it's stiffening and softening that rear suspension. It's even adjusting the front. Normally, a factory suspension truck, you hit a big bump on the highway, you're gonna feel that nose lift up. It doesn't do it with this liquid springs. It completely absorbs the bump, keeps the truck level side to side. When you have steering input, even though I have all this extra weight on the pin, with that steering input, it will stiffen that outside strut so that as you go into a corner, you don't roll out of that corner. Another great feature with this, and it doesn't have to do with the trailer or the truck riding smooth, but you can adjust the ride height. 8 inches in total, 4 inches up, 4 inches down from the standard ride height, so it makes connecting to your trailer much easier. Or if you have an issue where you might drag a railroad track or drag a curb on the rear of the trailer, you can come over and then drop the front of the trailer to increase the height on the rear and get you in and out of those tight spots. Now, set up like this, like I said, they're very expensive, but if you have a nice tow rig and you want that superior ride quality, like you're driving a Ford Expedition Platinum, you're gonna get that same type of ride quality out of this system set up just like this. Almost enjoy towing more than I do running empty because it is so impressive how well the truck and trailer drive. So let's go drive this one and see what the data tells us. So this road I'm going down right now, this is a county road. And this thing is pretty rough, but you can see me, the motion behind the seat. I mean, this thing's driving like I'm driving an SUV on a pretty smooth road. Very little movement. I'm not getting a big buck back and forth in the cab. We've hit some asphalt to concrete transitions with very little motion. But this road, I mean, you can see it's just one step up from a gravel road. They've got a little bit of chip seal on it. It's old. It gets a ton of semi-truck traffic, so there's a lot of washboards kind of pushed into the asphalt. But so far, we're rolling pretty smooth. It's definitely smooth enough to drink some hot coffee, which I've driven plenty of trucks where there was a danger risk of doing that. Burn your tongue, burn your lips, spilling it all over the place. My wife doesn't enjoy riding in a truck that's getting bucked around, so she's appreciated the upgrade in the suspension. So now let's see what the factory truck, what it tows like, and we'll check out the data. So I'm noticing a significant back to forth jerk over just little bitty bumps that I wasn't feeling in my truck with liquid springs. I'm hitting these bumps and you can really feel the back and forth. We're going about 45, so I'm not even at highway speeds, which it would be even worse at those highway speeds. But when I'm towing, I like to be comfortable. I don't want to get to a destination and feel like I'm worn out. Fifth wheels typically ride pretty smooth. Stock trailers and horse trailers typically ride a little smoother, but goosenecks are the hardest ones to get a smooth ride because you can change the weight position, the necks can flex, there's a lot of different factors. You know, this one, when I'm sitting back, I'm just kind of getting my head bumped, and it's not the most comfortable. I mean, the truck, plenty of power, brakes are working good. You know, it's carrying the load like it's meant to, but that's a big one. You're limited on factory suspension. You know, everybody needs something a little bit different. A lot of these guys buy these trucks and they work out of a bank. You know, they may tow a bass boat to a fishing tournament a couple times a year, and they're buying these big trucks and they want them to ride smooth, and that's kind of the market that a lot of these things are catered to. I see it across the Rams, I see it across the Chevys. It's kind of an industry thing that seems like the rear suspension has gotten a little bit softer, which is good. They definitely ride better unloaded. But some simple upgrades, man, we can fix that problem for you. Yeah, I mean, they do get stiffer compared, like if we hook this up to a truck without the heavier tow package, you know, if this was a 250 and just had the basic 2 springs and the base spring, we would nearly have the tires in the top of the wheel well, and it would ride terrible because you'd almost have an inversed spring arch. The heavy duty trailer tow package will give you the extra spring in the pack plus the overload spring, so it definitely increases the weight capacity on that spring pack. It does decrease the ride quality just slightly, but not a lot. That extra spring they add, really unloaded, doesn't change the ride much, but towing, it makes a pretty big difference. But I would say the number one thing is you have to get that bump stop off the axle. If that thing is sitting there just tapping the rear axle, I can feel it over every little bump here. You can just really feel this cab. Man, you look at my water bottle here and it's shaking around pretty violently. So we've got 3 culverts we're about to go through up here. 20 miles an hour is what I went through in my truck. We're going to slow down to 20, hit it in this one. Wasn't too bad. That one I think is our easiest one. This next one's just a little bit bigger. Oh, that was I think we hit the bump stops on the front springs on that one. So with the rear springs not having a whole lot of travel, it puts a lot more load on that front spring because as the truck bucks, it's going to push that front end up and down. You could definitely feel it on that one. Let's see what this one does. Oh, yeah, that was, got a little head slap from the headrest. So I would say the difference in my truck and this one is, I bet mine's 10 times better. I don't know, what do you think, John? John's a newbie to this trailering deal. He's as fresh as they could be, so he can give me his honest opinion, unbiased.
So basically the other one felt like an old Lincoln and just kind of going over bumps, drifting it. It was great. That felt like I might lose a filling.
So even if your budget is, say, $1,000, that's gonna get you a couple leaf springs and at least a shock upgrade on the rear. That's gonna make a dramatic improvement. That'll at least double the ride quality. But if you wanna triple it, quadruple it, there's things you can add in stages. You don't have to do it all at once. We can add one component at a time. As you save money, add those components and drastically improve your ride quality. Especially if you're working construction, man, you've been working all day, you're traveling back and forth. The worst thing is to get beat up on the ride, especially if you've gotta drive an hour or two to a job site, you get there and you're already tired of the ride. Just makes the whole rest of the day miserable. So I understand why the manufacturers build the trucks these ways. They have to meet a very, very wide market of people. They have to make these trucks safe. They have to make them perform well unloaded, probably a little bit better unloaded than what they're looking at performing loaded. You know, if these trucks rode rough right off the lot, people wouldn't buy them. And I'll tell you, these trucks year after year have drastically improved the ride quality unloaded. It's 10 times better than it was 10 years ago. But just like accessories, doing lift kits and cosmetic things, there's a lot of accessories you can do performance-wise, and we're focusing on towing. And if you want to look for some accessories to make your towing a lot better than you can get from the factory, we've got different options in mind to meet your budget. So if you're ready to make a move and make your truck tow better, easy number to remember, 806 Flatbed. The guys at Whiteface Customs can get you hooked up with the most basic or the most extensive upgrade for your towing needs.